Hello, I'm Catherine, Two Spirit Witch, and Priestess of Hecate. Now, I have been practicing witchcraft and magic my entire life. Early life, not even realizing I was doing it. And then as you get older and wiser, you realize, oh, yeah, I was always doing this. And only recently, within the last few months, have I become a priestess of Hecate. And what that means is I have a mandate to sort of open doors to help people cross barriers. Now, that means I have spirits showing up at my house and I help them cross over, but it also means that I have people coming to me in my real life, day job, things like that, who are interested, but they don't know where to start and they don't know where to go. And they're like, how do you do this? How do you do that? So that's the reason why I did my first book review. So now it's time for the second book review. This is for the more intermediate practitioner. So I would not recommend these if you are just starting out, because it's like playing with fire. You should at least have some knowledge of the basics, learn a little bit about the history so you can at least respect the craft of spellcraft. And first of all, it's a craft. It is not spell casting. It is spellcraft, because it is a craft. You are creating something. You are crafting something. The more you do it, the better you get. The more effort you put into a spell, the better the result will be. It's the same thing as if you're a carpenter or a carver or an artist. The more effort and time you put into your work, the better the result will be. So you should at least have some understanding of the basics of candle magic. Okay? You should have attempted some spells, and you should have measured the results. How well did it work out? How long did it take to work out? And did they not work out at all? Okay? And also, you should have at least a basic understanding and a few attempts at least at divination. Okay? Whether that's using a pendulum to get some answers. What day is it? Saturday. Okay? Whether that is scrying with crystal ball, whether that's tarot cards or a Ouija board, and you've used the Ouija board safely. The board itself has no power, but it's your subconscious, which is your higher conscious. Know what you're doing before you get into this stuff, okay? Once you have basic understanding of that, you're ready for the next level, okay? So here are the books that I would recommend for intermediate, more than beginner. First one, Mind Magic Methods, okay? So you've done candle magic. It's hit or miss, okay? You have a ritual. This book will help you enhance your spellcrafting rituals by adding visualization, okay? I should also mention this. If you can't meditate, why are you even here? Meditate for years, okay? You need to be able to enter an altered state of consciousness, and it's a lot easier if it doesn't take you 20 minutes to do that. If you can just do that, you'll have a much easier time with spellcraft. Because in an altered state of consciousness, you can apply visualization techniques. It's kind of like law of attraction, but this gives you very specific techniques that I think improved my magic tenfold, I'd say. I'm actually curious. I want to get more of his books. I'm pretty sure Merlin Starlight is not his real name. Then again, I'm pretty sure Catherine is not my real name. You have to have a sense of humor about things. Yes, very, very good at enhancing your spellcraft. Next, I want to get into, this is more recent. I have a few books that are more recent. And if you're sitting there and you're wondering, how come you don't have the Greater Keys of Solomon or this and that by like Aleister Crowley? First of all, I'm familiar with Aleister Crowley. I got into Ozzy Osbourne when I was a teenager. I know about Mr. Crowley. The reason I don't have any of his books on my shelf is because, when I was a teenager, I didn't want to read his books and I couldn't find them either. I was in a small town, so Amazon didn't exist. But YouTube did, and I tried listening to them like audiobooks. Not a fun read, pretty boring. And I started with the Book of Law. I tried. I really tried with Aleister Crowley, and what I find now is the more research I do, the more people refer to Aleister Crowley, little tiny nuggets that you actually need. And my impression is most of it is very, I don't know, formal, ritualistic, training a year just doing the lower banishing ritual of the pentagram. It's just not for me, and I think we've grown beyond Aleister Crowley at this point. Okay? Interesting, like if you're a fan of music, it's fun to go back and listen to like, oh, who's Jimi Hendrix? Oh, who's Eric Clapton? And so forth and so on and so on. But you like the music you like, and it's usually the music you grow up with. So, okay, next book, Psychic Witch. It's been a while since I've read this, but what I like about it is it has exercises. I love books like that. Instead of just giving you a philosophy and then maybe a couple of spells at the back, so many exercises that you can do. Okay, here's one, the Psychic Dimmer. The Psychic Dimmer. A visualization, it's a meditation, and it's a perfect primer if you're going to be doing spirit work. Don't do spirit work until the next book review video, or maybe just don't rush into spirit work. Okay. But yeah, an exercise for that. Right beside it on this page, another exercise you can try. Another exercise you can try. What I love that about this book is that here's what I know, and here are some exercises you can try. If you try these exercises, expect these results, and you try them and you get those results. So this is a good training manual for improving. Well, it's called Psychic Witch. I'll let you figure out what it's for improving. Okay, this next book. I have a bit of a problem here because I have two books here. I really want to recommend this book, and this book is very highly recommended by people I trust. The problem is I'm disagreeing with a lot of it, and it's by Jason Miller. And if you know anything about Hecate, odds are you've read Jason Miller. And I've read a lot of Jason Miller, and so far I've loved all of his books, but I just find that I'm disagreeing with some things that he says. But it does reinforce the idea of self-reflection after the fact. Okay, you've done a spell, you got some results. That's not where it ends. You have to think about, okay, how did it work? How well did it work? What can we do better? Why didn't I get the results I wanted? Self-reflection about your spellcraft is important. And there are nuggets in here that I can agree with and get along with, but just overall, a lot of it, I don't know, man. For example, he says that the materia for a spell matters. And yes, it does. But if you don't have the materia, you can also, which this book doesn't mention, and I'm curious as to why, because it's Jason Miller, if you don't have the materia, what you can do is appeal to the spirit of that materia. If you don't understand that everything, every solid matter object around you has a spirit, you're not ready for these books, okay? So I will recommend this book because it was highly recommended to me, but I would also suggest that think for yourself. If you just agree with everything you're told, that's not good. You need to practice some sort of critical analysis. You need to be able to disagree with some things because in your own practice, evidence is shown different, okay? So, next book I will recommend, and it's the same author of Psychic Witch. I'm not going to try and pronounce the last name. Matt Aaron, and I just tried to pronounce it. This one. If I could only have one book on my shelf, it would be this book. It improves Spellcraft 100-fold. I just randomly, I picked it up one day, I opened to a random page, and as soon as I read a couple of lines on that page, I was like, oh, of course! Why didn't I think of that? And this book is fairly recent. Like, it's a good book. I recommend it because after all the years of doing what I do, I found a book that still made me go, oh, why didn't I think of that? That's so obvious, and yet this will improve your spellcraft big time. And it's just like Psychic Witch, tons of exercises, but with that specific focus on magic and improving magic, lot of exercises geared toward improving your spellcraft. I cannot recommend this book enough. Last book. Why did I grab this book? It is 3 books of occult philosophy and magic. Henry Cornelius Agrippa. It's an interesting read, but it's also a difficult read because it's very old. This is like medieval times old, but it's just fascinating to see the things that have stayed the same. The roots of so much of what we understand about magic and spellcraft can still be found in this book. Sorry, my dog. Does my dog just want attention? Yes, okay. So if there's a bad spirit, my dog lets me know. And I just wanted to make sure that wasn't the case. Yeah, it's amazing that this was written hundreds of years ago, and so much of it still applies. A lot of it doesn't, but so much of it does. So I recommend it just to expand on that, your knowledge of history and respecting the craft. You're not going to, it doesn't have exercises for you to practice. It's not going to necessarily improve your magic or spellcraft, but it'll blow your mind. And this particular copy has a very interesting addition at the end of it called the Magic Mirror, which is very interesting. I'm not going to say more about it than that. So those are the books to improve your magic and spellcraft and witchcraft. I want to come back to these 2 books. The reason why I love this one and the reason why I don't necessarily love this one is because once you've reached the point where you have met your spirit guides, which Matt Arn will help you do with his books, you have a Swiss Army knife of help. You have a team of people that will help you. Okay? So before you do a spell, talk to your spirit guides. After you do a spell, talk with your spirit guides. And you will notice a vast improvement in results. That's before we even get on to deity work. So, for example, I thought I would provide an illustration of what I mean by talk with your spirit guides, get their opinion. I am working on, and I should have consulted them before I did this, but the truth is, it really was the only bottle I had that would fit the picture. So this is a protection bottle, a Hecate protection bottle. Okay, ingredients are if you can't draw, you can print off a picture of Hecate. I drew a picture of Hecate. It's filled with nails and hair and nail clippings of mine. Okay? I'm wondering, I want to check in and get feedback from my spirit guides. It also calls, not necessary, but it calls for the hair of a black dog. I have my dog and I have a ton of his fur lying around. So, spirit guides. If I add my dog's fur to this, will it improve the protection bottle? You can E? Yes, E. You can. Do you mean affect? You're saying effect. Do you mean affect? Spirit guides, depending on when they died, depending on their education, they might have spelling and grammar errors. I'm just saying. It might not be you, it might actually be them. And I'm not burning candles. I'm not hearing it in my head right now. I haven't prepared for that. I'm just using the Ouija board really quick. You can AFF. You can affect the you can affect the magic with doubt. Okay. I wouldn't. You wouldn't add my dog's fur to it because you are questioning if it will be effective, which means there is a hint of doubt. That hint of doubt will hamper the overall effectiveness of this protection bottle. Oh, okay. Follow up question. This is a big bottle. Should it be filled to the brim with nails? Because there's already a lot of nails in there. It just doesn't seem like it because it's such a big bottle. Should it be jam packed full? Would this be more efficient with a smaller bottle? More nails, more space, more spirits that will be more spirits I'll be able to trap in this. Okay. Is there anything else I should know before finishing my protection bottle? Charge it with a ritual of intent. Good to know. All right. See how that works? Instead of just fumbling around blindly in the dark, ask for help. Your spirit guides are there to help you. Let me tell you a story. When I first discovered my spirit guides, I was just fooling around on the Ouija board talking to some angel whose name I couldn't pronounce, who had a hard time communicating with me, who eventually just kind of said, you're asking me all these questions. You do know you have a spirit guide? Like you have more than one, and it's their job to help you. You can be asking them those questions, and they will gladly help you. And I was like, oh, okay. And it changed everything drastically. So to me, I can recommend books, but there is no better way to improve your magic in Spellcraft than with the help of your spirit guides. All right. Thank you very much. I hope I have opened the door for some people out there. And I don't know. I'm not a professional YouTuber. I don't have a catchphrase or a sign off. So, ciao.